Hello guys, Patrick here, Eggnoc Poker, and we're in part 2 of this micro stakes 1 cent, 2 cent hand review with Mr. Flushme. So let's get straight back in. So we opened the jacks, took it down, bet 2 streets with the queen 7. Yep. Okie dokie. Easy fold with the ace deuce and the 10-6. Nine five's nice and easy. And we can absolutely be opening the pocket deuces and the Kojak. Right, so actually, I'll tell you what, let's stop pausing it. Let's see how the action transpires, then we'll go. We're going to be doing a lot of checking in theory out of position, mostly with a lot of our range here. Some betting. I think we're mostly checking, though. I think exploitatively, just at micro stakes, I prefer betting, but checking is also fine. I like check calling and check raising with this specific combo. We've got a gut shot. Can I pause that? There we go. Yeah, we have a gut shot. We're about to flush draw. We have 2 overs. I like check calling. I like check raising. As long as we don't fold. I think against the larger size, I'm calling here because we do beat some hands. We've got good equity against others, and we could do a decent amount of bluffing. I think exploitatively, I prefer just leading the flop, whereas theoretically based, you could probably do more checking, I would think, but I think both are okay at these levels. On the turned ace, let's see how we play it. I'd love to see a small lead here or a check. If we're checking, we're check raising. Yeah, I like this lead. We are blocking and representing a flush. We're blocking and representing an ace relatively well, like ace king, ace queen, ace 10, for example, which is probably okay to bet. Facing jam, I think we're just going to be folding. I'm assuming this guy's just turned a flush. Probably like 5-6 as diamonds or something. And just doesn't want to get pushed off, something like that. Deuces, we can sometimes fold. I don't think you have to open full frequency. Again, it depends on the people behind, but the rake is just so high, it's like you need to know that you're going to be taking it down often and not sort of facing any pressure. And be easy call with the pocket sixes table 1, depending on how the action goes. Just want to see a call here. I'll probably be check calling at least 1. Facing check, again, you could lead very small or check because we have a slight advantage. Well, we do have an advantage with the 7x, but I think pocket sixes will mix between checking and betting really, really small. I don't think we should be betting massive here. I feel like we win this. We do. Nice. Reason we bet small is I guess we just don't. I mean, we are polarized, which kind of levers me, and we have a 7x advantage, which does lever me towards like betting slightly bigger. The only problem is we just don't ever really have it against cutoff. We don't have ace king, we don't have kings, we don't have aces. We do have a decent amount of 7x, but like that's all we have really to bet turn with. So I think we'd just be betting small with range or checking. 3 betting table 2, I suppose. Nice and easy with the ace king. Very big size. I like it though. We are deep. We've got nut showdowns. I'd prefer checking. Don't mind betting some of the time. This size is big, and I do like big on this texture. I just think because we're blind on blind, you don't always have to go huge. Like you can still bet sort of like around 40-50% as well if you want to. I'm trying to think if you would ever bet a third. I suppose you could because technically you've got more hands like pocket hands, and then you've got your overpairs, but then you've got loads of hands that have missed. I'm just thinking micro stakes as a priority. I'd probably just check back the flop because we're just beating loads of hands. So we don't really want to get raised by like 8-9 or like a pair of jacks or something or ace 10 or something. That may not have 4-bet pre. 8 turns really bad because that improves like 7-8 suited. Hands like I don't want to dare say 10-8 suited, jack 9 suited. Some turn and spade draws. There's a lot of hands with equity that have improved or now beat you. So I think we would just be checking the turn, mainly betting with a spade. If we were going to be doing some betting. River's a fantastic card for us because obviously we're now ahead of a lot of hands and also a lot of hands have missed. So if also like hands like, I suppose 9s, 8-9, 10-9, king 10, for example, queen 10. We're just ahead of loads of hands now potentially as well. Facing leads, we're never folding. I'm just deciding if I wanted to raise this. So we bet the floppy called. We bet big on the floppy. We 3-bet. We bet big on the floppy called. Check back turn and then river donk. Villain ever get it? I suppose it's like a question of, does he float this with a big bet on the flop and a 3-bet pot with ace jack or ace queen? Probably not most of the time, if I had to guess. So I think villain's either got nothing like a bluff, or he's got something quite strong. I mean, he can still have, like, at this level he's going to have ace 3 suited, ace 7 suited, ace 10 suited, ace 8 suited. I just don't think he's got ace king, ace queen a whole bunch. So I don't think raising makes a huge amount of sense. I suppose you could potentially min click and fold to jam at this level. No, I think I'd just like a call here. I think error on the side of caution is better. Just because there's a 10 out there as well, it just limits some of the combos, but maybe I'm a nit, but... And here's a pure bluff, that's always good. Yeah, I think I would have called that. I'm, between call and raise, I'm never folding, obviously. 9-7's one of the low-end hands we can open, I suppose, in terms of gap connectors. Yeah, we can open that. What are we doing here? We're messing around with Spotify. Let's just get that out of the way. Pocket fours would be a mixed open, I suppose, again, exploitatively, depending on the population and the players you've got behind. Easy fold. 7-4 suited, we could potentially open this in the small blind. And I'll be defending as mix between 3-bet and call. Table 2, again, high rake environment, and I got a larger open on the button. You're a bit more incentivized to 3-bet or fold. So I'd love to see a 3-bet to like 12, 13 here. Calling's not terrible, but I would prefer to see a 3-bet. Versus size and the way villains tend to play. So we've got 2 overs, backdoor straight and flush draw. I suppose villain does have a decent amount of 8x. 8-6 suited, 8-7 suited, ace 8 off, king 8 off, 10-8 suited, 10-9, 8-9, 6-8 suited. I don't think I'd be doing any leading. I'm trying to debate if I want to check raise this. I suppose you got 2 overs, a backdoor straight and flush draw. I'd like to check. Against, depending on the size, I'd like to see a check raise here. Obviously, that's assuming he bets, that is, but I was just trying to preemptively think if this is a good combo. So versus this large size, yeah, I'd probably just fold. Against population, I'd fold against large size. Had he bet small, or I'd potentially check raise this. I have no idea what to do in this splash pot. I have no clue, this Russian cash type thing. I mean, I'm assuming that villain's going to be opening wider, but I don't know how wide I would call. I think ace 3 off isn't good enough to call. I probably would have just folded. I honestly don't know how to play these. I really, really don't. I think I like calling or raising. I like raising or calling with a better hand. I think ace 3 off is a little bit weak to just call. Let's have a look here. So villains open UTG. We've flattered the ace-x suited. We can absolutely flatter that. That is okay. Again, populations, UTG opening range. We've got no backdoor flush draw. I'd probably just fold this. I know we have like close to nut showdown value, and we are beating some hands, but it's just, again, this is just micro stakes and high rake. I don't like the idea of sort of having marginal cooldowns. No, I wouldn't be raising this. This makes no sense to raise. If I was going to raise this, I mean, I'd rather raise a hand like 9-10 of clubs with the backdoor straight and flush draw, unblocking folds. Like, I suppose you block jacks and aces, but you also block a shitload of villains, like just ace 10 offs, ace jack offs, ace king offs, queen jack offs, for example, like jack 10 suited. You just block loads of hands. You unblock spades, you unblock club backdoors. This isn't a good hand to raise with most of the time. Also, just UTG raising range, opening ranges, and the fact that they continue on this board texture. I'd just be folding this, potentially calling against a better opponent some of the time. So we do raise and turn top pair, but it's just really weird. So we're in a dynamic now where we've either got there against like 8x 7s or like 9s through kings, or we're losing to like turn flushes, ace 8 suited, ace 4 suited, ace deuce suited. Obviously, we're losing to the flushes. I don't think villain bet calls ace king, ace queen off. So it's kind of a wobbly spot where you don't really generate a whole bunch of value and you could just be miles behind. And if you are miles ahead, you don't really get a ton. So value for, you'd probably get value for something like jacks with a spade, queens with a spade, kings with a spade, but it's a bit thin. This is why you don't really raise this and get into this situation. I'd be betting really small here or checking. I'd be betting like 20% or checking. I think that's what I do as played. Yeah, we can get called by like nines with a spade, for example, tens with a spade, and then not do it in versus flushes. Even like 9s, 10s, jacks, queens without a spade, we probably might call 20% of this population. And then with the river ace, depending on what a villain does, we absolutely need to be betting this river against the pocket pairs. Again, I'd just be going like sort of between third and half pot. I wouldn't go massive. I think theoretically you could probably go a bit bigger, but it's just like, yeah, that's fine. So we bet a bit bigger and get called by queens with a spade. Yeah, I like that. That's fine. Would you open the queen 8 off here? Yeah, okay. Probably betting between... to be fair, you could probably do all sizes. So I'd love to see 3-bet or fold against the button. Oh, what's this? So we got... Oh, the small blind's called. Sorry, I apologise. I wouldn't be overcalling the ace-3 offsuit. This is way too wide of an overcall, in my opinion. We don't really beat anything. We've got really bad reverse implied odds against any type of value range. We're kind of in a weird spot. Flop a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw. I think we're mostly calling with the guy behind, with the original raiser behind. Yeah, no, probably just wouldn't be in this situation, but as played, I like calling. Turn, I'll be snap checking that one. So this is a very good card for the button. See what he's going to be doing. Let's go ahead and bet. Bets a third. Interesting. I think against a small size, so we go ahead and call here. If I was in position, I like calling more some of the time, but I think out of position versus small, I would check raise this. I think also, like, theoretically, just against the smaller sizes, it opens us up to be able to raise more because, you know, it's a wider SBR and we're not going to just sort of punish ourselves and put ourselves in a box by getting jammed over the top, for example. But I think also exploitatively, I don't think he goes a third with like queen, jack, king, queen. Like, I'm not saying he can't, but I just don't think they do. Like, I think if he wanted to value bet, he would bet bigger. So he's kind of like when he bets the flop and then sort of bets this tiny amount on the turn, he's kind of repping something like a 10. So I actually quite like the idea of, I mean, you block ace queen, right? So that's always good. You do have a heart in your hand. You'd also have a 3. You're blocking some of the continues and some of the best hands. I would love a check raise here to like 20. That's what I would love to see. I don't like the idea of calling even with a good price because it's just hard to win and it's hard to make money. Whereas we could just check raise and attack his 10x and then do some bluffing on some rivers. Now we have to check. Like, leading doesn't make any sense. We have to check and we just let him bluff us. We let him just check back. We just putting ourselves in a spot. There you go. He literally had a 10. So we would have probably just made that fold on the turn. And if not, we would have probably blasted the river. So... maybe not that river, but just saying like that we had the opportunity to have bluffed river, and had we check raised the turn, you probably would have just taken it down. I know it's hindsight, but I think we should have raised the turn. Easy open with the ace queen and the 5-6. Queen 8, we can just about open. Again, it depends. I mean, high rake, isn't it? But I think it just about sneaks in there. Sort of queen 8, queen 9 cusp suited. Easy fold. We could be opening the 9-6 suited potentially if it folds to us. Table 1. Easy fold. I'd love to see a 3-bet or a call on table 2. Both are completely fine. I do feel like we're not really showing any of these 3-bets at any frequency. And again, we're not going to be exploited for that, and it's not the main priority. But I just feel, again, like, especially on GG, just like being slightly more aggressive is usually good. I know you do get raked pre-flop as well, so it's not like you're just trying to 3-bet and take it down. But I just do think being aggressive overall is quite good in these pulls. I feel like you're going to be taking quite a lot of pots down and avoiding some tougher situations. Also, it just gets our 3-bet percentage up. I feel like we're calling all the time. What happened here, table 2? So we defended the ace-5 suited fine. I'm trying to think if we want to bet this or check. I think we're just mostly checking this. In theory, you would, like, again, like, populate, like, villains are going to, like, not have any of the protected check back lines. But again, he can just be checking back a very weak king. He could be checking back 10s, jacks, queens. He can still have, like, a turn flush draw, a flop flush draw. You don't really know what villain's got here. I think ace-5 is just a tad bit weak. If I was going to bet here, I'd probably bet sort of around 2.5. You're supposed to really go big bet or check here, I think, but it's just, I think 5 just falls into a check just to make life easy. If he's got ace jack of diamonds, I don't really want to get raised and fold. So I'd like the turn check. I'd be squeezing this or folding ace 9 off. I would not be defending. And the way the hand's gone, I would just be checking river and hoping to go to showdown versus like ace queen. Versus this, yeah, I would just be folding this. Then doesn't rep a whole bunch. I suppose he reps 7s, he reps 4s, he reps deuces. He reps like ace 7 of diamonds, I suppose. It's a bit weird, but it's like, whatever. Jet 10 of spades, my absolute favourite hand. And suit. What does Mr. Valentina want to do? He wants to open, so I would love to see a 3-bet here. We're deeper as well, so 12, 13, 14, around that level, especially against a 3x. Yep. And we take it down. Interesting, just to think, we didn't 3-bet ace-8 suited, but we 3-bet jack 10 suited. I suppose like jack 10 suited looks like it's got more playability, and I suppose it does have a lot of playability. But like ace-8 suited is a good hand to 3-bet as well. So make sure you start mixing in those suited decent ace-x in a small blind, as well as these like middle-of-the-road connected hands. And we get jack 10 suited again. Not quite as pretty with the diamonds, but pretty enough. I think I'd just be pure betting. Yeah, I like it. Between small and medium. You could even go large, but I think just small to medium is better. On the turn ace, I would love to see an overbet or a large bet. No, don't check. So you don't. So I get it. You haven't turned anything. But at the same time, you just should be. There's so many red line situations that are going to come up at micro stakes that you can over abuse. So for example, let's just rewind the clock. So we open. We don't know what our hand is. We just have 2 cards at this point. Okay, we open the big blind defense. From the big blind's point of view, okay, at micro stakes, you can't really say what their logic's going to be. We just have to do what we do, right? You decided to you're basically just in a mindset. This is a good hand to go ahead and bet, by the way, because you just got so many backdoors in the universe. There's so many good turns, and we're also going to be bluffing and representing a lot of turns at the same time. You got backdoor spades, you got backdoor straight, you got 1 over. You can represent an ace, a king, a queen on the turn, etc., etc., etc. So it's just a really good hand to bet. When you do go ahead and bet and get called, remember you bet small, right? This guy could just float like king jack off with a heart. This guy could just have a 3, pocket 4s, you know? He doesn't, like, the ace is a bad card for a lot of his range, except like it's gonna improve his like ace jack floats, for example. It's going to improve ace 3, ace 6, ace 10, things like that. But it's like ace x of spades, whatever, whatnot. But it's like it's not going to crush his entire calling range. So this ace is going to be scary for him a lot of the time as well. So you didn't improve your hand, but your range, like your power end range, like your ace kings, ace queens, ace jacks, ace 10, you know, you've got equity on the turn sometimes with king jacks and king queens. You know, at this level, you just want to be betting, like just keep going, put massive pressure. Even on a 10, fuck them, just go big. Just go like 7.5 to 15. Just go really, really big here. And then again, you can bluff a 7, you can bluff an 8, you can bluff a spade. There's lots of cards you can potentially bluff as well with your hand. And of course, you just get fold equity from loads of floats and like middling pairs and so on. So let's carry on. Now we just have to fold versus small. This wouldn't make any sense to check raise. This is just a fold now. But again, I think we just should have bet. And the way he's played that to then bet small, he probably just has something like Queen 10. That's literally what he looks like he has. Or like a flush draw or something. Or just like Queen Jack that he's floated and tried to bet small to take it down. But I would just be like, you want to be doing loads of like jabbing and then knockouts on really, really good turns and rivers. I think we would have won that had we bet big on the turn. Back in the Spotify, no thanks. So back in the action. Folding the ace-4 offsuit, easy fold. And we defended the sixes. You could potentially lead very, very small or check. I think I just prioritize checking. Just to keep life easy at micro stakes. I think we have an easy call versus roughly half pot. Turned ace is not the end of the world. It's not great though, because a lot of his opening range in the hijack will hit the ace, but he is also going to be bluffing a lot of hands. Like he's just probably going to bluff his entire range on turn. I think against half, probably be closer to theory. If I was going to call this, I'd probably prefer to call with a heart, just so I've got some playability and potential bluffability. And also we're blocking more combos of hands, like we you know, that he could value bet like a heart river on, for example. So I think I would, against half pot, I would first be checking this guy's stats, seeing how aggressive or tight he is. I would assume he's got a lot of value on this turn, and he's probably going to have a decent amount of bluffs at the same time. So I think I would probably mix between folding this for half pot and calling if I had a heart in my hand. If he's a really tight player, I'd just be folding pure. I really don't want to see a raise. So raise doesn't make any sense. So this is I'm just going to be really honest with you. This is a massive, massive error. This doesn't make, I mean, I suppose your logic is right. I've got pocket sixes. I've defended pre. You get to the flop and you're like, right, he's bet half pot. It's an easy call. Go from there. Get to the turn. The ace isn't a great card. Improves his range. He could be bluffing. I don't really know what to do. I guess I'll raise and see what I can do and maybe just fold out all his bluffs. This just logically doesn't make any sense. You're just going to make him fold like king, queen, king 10, king jack, and then just do it in versus all of his value. And if you're going to do this, I'd rather you do this with a hand like Queen 10 of hearts, at least blocking some of villains like value range, like ace queen or ace 10. You're blocking flush draws, and you also have direct equity yourself. Whereas sixes is just like, you're just making bluffs fold or some kind of weird mergy hand fold. So this is a massive error. Also, if you get called, what are you going to do on the river? Do you know, it's really, really awkward. The guy can also just call you with like king queen of hearts, and then you check the river potentially, and then he could probably bluff you. Things like that, it's just, or improve. It's just a really, really weird, awful play. I wouldn't do this. You have better hands to bluff with as well. So this is an interesting card. So technically the only card, I was going to say, because we have to give up on a lot of rivers, but it's like, this isn't one of them. This is actually one of the best rivers, and I'll tell you why. Let's see what you do first. I want to see if you bet or check. Okay, so we check. So what I would love to see here, so you're representing a 7 at this point, right? You check call the flop, you check raise the turn. You're representing like 7x plus. That's what you're, or ace king slow played plus. That's what you're basically representing, right? Theoretically for value. Your villain would raise in the hijack with a 9, which is in there. He's going to have some 9s. But then to bet the turn is questionable, and then to call a massive check raise is extremely questionable. So he's never really going to get here with a 9. He's going to have some 7x, but probably not a bunch. And I don't know. It depends on your villain, I suppose. But I don't think they're going to get here with a whole bunch of 7s in the hijack as played. So their range is going to be loads of like folds with like queen 10 of hearts, king jack of hearts, king 10 of hearts, maybe some weak ace x of hearts. And he's just going to have a bunch of like ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10. So I think if you were checking, I mean, you've been counterfeited, haven't you? You're playing the board now. So checking doesn't make any sense, because he's just going to win with an ace. He's just going to win with like 9s and aces and 9s now, isn't he? Or he could potentially bluff you. Like say he's just got queen 10 of hearts here, bets any size, you can't call. I don't think I'm trying to debate whether I want to 10%. Do I want to bet small here, or do I want to shove? No, I think villain's got a lot of ace x and can potentially bin us if we bet really small. I would jam this or bet pot. Honestly, that's what I would do. I'd bet between like 80-90% or shove and get him off an ace. I think jamming is actually the best option. I think he's got loads of ace x, and I don't really want to check. Obviously, we just lose if we check. And if we bet small, we could potentially just get binned as well. And if we bet small, he just calls with the times he has an ace X. Whereas if we shove, I think he never calls. Or almost never calls anyway. No, I'd like to see a jam. Honestly, I think jamming would be best. I would love to see a jam. That's what I would have wanted to have seen. Wow, he just checks back and we chop. I mean, he's kind of in that situation as well. He's like, he's in a bit of a scarier situation because he's checking back to chop rather than checking out of position to see what villain does. But it's funny because he just has like, he's kind of in a situation where he's probably in a similar spot. He's like, well, if I check this back, are we going to chop or am I just going to lose to some kind of hand or am I being trapped? I don't know. I would have loved to see a jam here. Again, I think this is another 27.5 bigs. As played, we would have won. We would have won this pot, I think, as played. But again, on the turn, I wouldn't have got here. I don't think a turn check raise makes any sense. And if you're going to bluff, this is the best river to jam. Like, you've got a 7 and you're trying to get value from like ace king or something. If you've got bluffs, well, you're going to jam the river. Do you see what I'm saying? Specifically as an exploit as well, the guy just has loads of folds or ace X. So if you're going to jam and fold most of them, that's way better than checking. Interesting. I'm going to skim through these last sort of 3 or 4 minutes because I'm just conscious for time. So I'm going to be pretty quick here. I don't want to make this a 3-part video. So we open the 7s. We get 3-bet. It's slightly bigger than it should be. Again, I would look at the population, how they're 3-betting and playing. This is cut off hijack, isn't it? 7s, we're primarily folding. And with a small amount of call. I mean, easy fold versus this ridiculous 4-bet size, but I'd be mainly folding. So we can skim this through. Ace 8, we should really be opening the cutoff. That's way too thin to fold. Way too tight to fold. Although Jack 3 is an easy pitch. And what we've got here, Ace Jack, easy open, obviously. So we flop the nut shot and the nut flush draw. That's always nice. I can get behind anything. We can bet small. We can bet half. We can bet quite big. Generally, on the monotone boards, we just bet really small. That's what we're doing most of the time, depending on the positions. Because you're multi-way, I actually don't know technically what the best size here would be. I'd probably choose around sort of, again, around between sort of third and half. Or check. Either's probably completely fine. Again, we have more of the nutted hand. Well, we have more of the nutted like sets and overpairs, but this is a board that heavily favors like flushes, right? And then people who've got the most flushes would be the big blind. Like a hand like aces and kings shrinks in value compared to the amount of like 2 pairs sets, straights and flushes on these combos, on this type of monotone texture. So we have to be careful with the sizes we choose and the ranges of hands that we blast with. Good luck. Thank you, sir. Take it down. Nice. Okay. Just skimming through for the last minute, see if there's any interesting spots. Take it down with the ace jack. Okay. So 7-6 offsuit's way too thin to defend against button. Excuse me. You defend it roughly 40%, 50% of the time, maybe against a small blind, but I think against the button, I would just be folding this. Super high rate, super bad hand. Easy check and check fold. Turn's a very bad card for our hand and our range. I'd be checking. Nice check. Villain checks back. See, I would love you to just bet 6 here. Just bet 6 and just take it down against like 8s or like ace. I'm trying to think what he's got here against like 9s. Something like that. 8s, 9s. A very weak jack. I'd love to see an overbet here. Just take it down. I just think this guy's just going to fold a shit ton. Please don't check. Just go for it. Believe. Don't bet small either. Believe in yourself. Don't bet small. Because if you bet small, you're incentivizing him to just call now. Imagine he's just got ace high and just calls because it's gone check, 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 and there's 2 flush draws and a straight draw. Like, I mean, this guy's snap folded. I don't know what he check, snap folds. Probably just has like 4s or something and just didn't want to call. Or he's just got like, I don't even know, tell you the truth. I would go bigger though. You really need to punch out those ace highs and pocket pairs. Easy folds, easy folds, easy folds. Skip through pocket kings. Last couple of hands, guys, and we're done. Easy open, obviously. Facing limp, we can mix. We can check back. We can go 3. We can go 5. Whatever you want. It's all completely fine. I prefer checking back, actually, and I'll tell you why. Limping back or checking big blind back, because most of the time, this is an assumption, but it's based on a lot of data or a lot of hands. When the small blind limps, they generally don't fold to raise. They're limping too cool. Their range is uncapped, but they're limping to call. They're not going to fold, especially blind on blind, most of the time anyway. If you go like 3 or 4. If you go 5, you'll attain quite a lot of fold equity, but you don't want to start nuking 100% of the time with like 5, 6 off. So checking back and realizing, and just playing position is also going to be fine. So it all is good. I think check or bet, both are fine. I think we're doing a lot of checking, especially without the King of Hearts on table 1, probably in theory. I think exploitative, I just bet probably, but checking is okay. Betting when check 2 with a 5, completely fine. Table 2. I think versus a limp and a check, I think villain just has air. So I would have actually liked to check back, but at the same time, if he's got something and might float, then, we can start building a pop. I just think he's got loads of folds, but here's what it is. Facing half pot table 1, as long as we're not folding, I like it. I don't think raising makes too much sense. Very easy turn check. Blind on blind. Probably still calling, depending on size. Although, I mean, we still beat heart draws, don't we? We beat like ace 8, king 8. Villains can merge at this level, can't they? Facing check. I'd love to see like 1 to 2 big blinds here to get value from like ace 7, ace 8, 10 8, something like that, because 2 flush draws missed. And then, or check. Both are fine. I think I would like to bet really, really, really small. This makes absolutely no sense. So you are forcing this guy to have a straight or better than 1 pair to call, technically. If this guy's got ace 8, he's not going to call. Well, I'm not saying he can't call, but you shouldn't be overbetting to target 1 pair on a 4-liner, is what I'm saying. I'm assuming we just beat. What does he have? Ace high? Oh, no, he's got a straight, yeah. Checks back the low end straight and then easy call versus overbet. Yeah, we blundered there. You should very small check. Very, very small check. So you've set out on both tables. I believe that's it. So good overall. A couple of little adjustments to look at. A few things to change. We should be a bit more aggressive in the small blind. We should be careful what hands you're defending in the big blind. We need to be way more red line orientated and be careful. Like some of these raises post-flop are very, very questionable and a bit spewy. And we need to then go after some of the spots that you should have been aggressive with. But overall, pretty good. So well played, mate. So again, as always, please like, please comment, subscribe, click the bell icon, and I will see you in the next one.